Welcome to Happily Ever After, the podcast where we talk about life's big stories, from breakups and breakdowns to icky secrets and happy endings. It's the stuff that makes us human. I'm your host, Hannah Harvey. I'm a writer and a parenting blogger at mumsdays.com. I'd be really grateful if you could subscribe and leave a review because it basically means more people can find the podcast. And I also absolutely love hearing from you, so please do contact me through Instagram at mumsdays, MUMSDAYS, with any of your stories and any thoughts you might have on the episode or any questions. You can find all the details from this episode in the show notes. Hello and welcome to Happily Ever After with me, Hannah. And today I'm talking about burnout with Katie.
Hello, everybody. I know, we're feeling a bit burned out.
I'm burnt out. I'm like, is that what it is? Is that what I'm feeling?
Feels American, doesn't it, burnout, when you say it like that?
Burnout.
It is something we get as well, I think.
What, British people?
As British people, yeah.
Yeah, but guess it's not very British to say, oh, I don't feel great.
That's true, generally. Yeah, you're right.
So yeah, I came to see you, didn't I, a few weeks ago, and I was like, I have had enough.
Yeah.
Like I need some time off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think the nature of the way we're all working these days is it's so 24/7.
It is.
24/7, infatuated. I don't know the words to this.
Yeah, I think it is 24/7 that we all work, but I also think that that's the way that you work as well, specifically, you know, like because your work is like, because what you do is I think you're always on all the time, and I'm surprised that it hasn't come before now, that you've wanted a break.
I don't know. Part of me is like, just get that on with it.
No, I know, but we've done 73 weeks in a row. This will be so
of the podcast.
Yeah, and I think normally people take a break. Obviously, we haven't been doing it every week, have we? But we've been putting out an episode every week, and we've been producing content every week from the start. So
yeah, that's like 18 months of excellent quality.
Really enjoyable podcasting
content. We've had a great time.
Yeah, we have.
Yeah, I do love it, and I absolutely am not going to stop. But I did kind of go, I think we need to break, because also my nature is I don't like to break a chain.
Yes.
I feel like if I break the chain, it'll break everything, and I'll never do another podcast again.
Yeah.
And I don't want that, because I really, really love doing it.
I know, and that's your nature all over, isn't it? Because I think it's perfectly okay for us to take a break for a few weeks and then come back to it, but I think you're worried that we just won't start it up again.
Look at the newsletter.
I know.
It's dead.
True. Yeah, that's true.
I was in such a pattern of every Tuesday, it went out every Tuesday, and now I can't write it.
Yeah, I know, but this is different.
Yeah,
and it's okay to take a break. I know that you find that concept quite hard, but it is okay.
I don't understand it.
I know you don't. I know.
But on this subject, this is what has come up in therapy. That apparently we've got 3 bits of our brain. You've got drive, so that's the thing that's telling you to like get on and do different things. There is threat, which is the bit of your brain that's like, if you don't do this awful thing's going to happen. And apparently my brain is predominantly those 2, and there's a 3rd bit of the brain, which is compassion, which I totally get the concept of, but apparently it's not something, like I don't get what it, like, I don't get it.
Compassion for yourself.
To me, the word compassion, to me, as in compassion towards myself, is letting myself off and not achieving anything, whereas actually it's things like giving yourself a break because you've had a really hard time.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've been given a book that is so big that you're using it as a tripod.
I am. Yes, I am.
So I can't show you it, but I have this enormous workbook to work through called the Compassionate Mind Workbook.
Yeah. I think it's one of the hardest things to do, have compassion for yourself. Like, I've got boatloads of it for other people, but to turn that voice inwards and actually use it to soothe myself, I find really hard. And that's probably the thing telling you that you've got to keep just going, because, like, you wouldn't stop anybody else from having a break. Like, when I've been like, I'm going on holiday, Hannah, you haven't been like, no, you can't because we've got a podcast to
I have
put
a little
out.
bit.
No,
Like, you can't leave me.
No, you haven't. We've just prepared for it in advance, and then I've had a break. I'm allowed a break, so you are too.
Yeah. I guess because of the way that we work as well, I feel like there is a lot of space for me to think. If I want it. So like for me, I'm like, well, I go for a walk. I go and get in the sea. But I don't think that's the same as being like, I am not working for this whole week.
It's not, and you're always working every day, you know? The way that you work is that you're doing it every day, and that is bound to lead to a bit of a burned out feeling.
So I don't want this to be like self-pity episode where I'm like, poor me, I've got no compassion for myself, because the thing I do, it's just, I think it's a bit like the Truman Show, you don't know what you don't know, so I'm going to go and do my workbook, and that's good, but I'm hoping it'll help me with this whole idea of moderation,
definitely,
and setting much better boundaries around how I work. Because it kind of bleeds into everything. Like when I get an idea, I'll be like straight on my phone writing it down. And then obviously I've been told home truths that I'm always on my phone, and I'm like, am I? Like I feel really present when I'm with people, but obviously I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, you don't do that when you're with me, but I guess when we're together we are talking about work. So if you had an idea, then we would just talk about it as opposed to you having to write it in your phone.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the difference. But then because of what you do, like it does mean that there's no switch off time. Like if you had a 9 to 5 job, then at 5 o'clock you wouldn't be writing in ideas in your phone. Or maybe you would
bet
be.
You
but
would.
Yeah, you
I
would.
bet there are so many people that relate to this, and they work for other people.
Oh, absolutely. No, you're right. Like
and there's an expectation as well on people to be, because it's 24/7.
I agree, but I think that's bad for you.
So bad. Which is okay. I've got 2 things written down here. One is spoons, which reminds me of Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
When he says, using mainly spoons, we'll dig our way out of the city.
That's not what we're going to do, though, so don't worry.
Okay, good. I don't want to do any digging.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is Daisy Buchanan. Like the very first episode this year, we talked about her book, which was Burn Before Reading. So we should link back to that, because I think there's some really good gems that she shares in that book. But she starts it talking about burnout and what it is.
Yeah.
And it's the same definition you just read me, which is why it reminded me.
Yeah.
Have you written that down?
It's here. It's
What is burnout?
I've closed the tab. Hang on, everybody. Burnout is a state of physical and emotional exhaustion. And when I read that, I immediately thought, I definitely think I am able to identify burnout when it's physical. When my body's tired and I feel like I can't do anything anymore.
Yeah.
But I think what I don't recognise as easily is the emotional exhaustion that we can get from burnout. And I think that's probably the case for a lot of people as well. So like if you've been through something hard, or like if you have to process something emotional, like we're bound to feel a bit exhausted at the end of it, and we don't give ourselves time or space to process that.
So I think that's the hardest bit of divorcing, for example, is it's not so much what you physically have to do, like dealing with lawyers and all that kind of stuff and working out finances is tiring, but it's the dealing with it while literally half of your brain is processing the trauma of the fact that your relationship is over.
Yeah.
So you've only got half a brain left.
Exactly. And you focus on the logical things that actually need doing, like the planning and the the logistical side and the admin.
Yeah.
And the emotions and the feelings are probably put to one side, and that's kind of the approach we take to a lot of stuff, like when something bad happens. So I guess like we need to take emotional exhaustion into account, and burnout is a consequence of having too much emotional exhaustion as much as we do anything else.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I was when I came to see you, and I'm like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
I am just so overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start anymore.
Yeah.
It's like going, oh right, I need a rest. I
need
a break so I can not be doing the physical admin stuff and just existing and letting my brain have a bit of a break.
Exactly. If your brain needs a break, that's what it is. Yeah. And coming back to the spoons as well. So not digging our way out of
using mainly spoons.
Not that. So this is something that I learned when I was sort of like quite badly depressed, I think, and like I just had no energy for anything, and I didn't really understand it because I wasn't physically doing anything. And somebody, a therapist somewhere, taught me about spoon theory. And I don't know why it's spoons. I don't know whether anybody knows why it's spoons, but the idea is that we've only got like a certain amount of spoons that we can energetically spend. I'm going to do a really bad job.
No, this is good. I get that.
Yeah, so like say you've got 5 energetic spoons, and work takes up 2 of those spoons, and then you're going to go and see a friend on the night, and that takes up a spoon, and then you've also got your kids to take care of, which takes another 2 spoons. That's all of your spoons gone. Like you don't have any more spoons for other emotional and physical activities. And thinking in those terms, because we are only humans and we can only do so much, means that you don't push yourself to do other stuff. Because like, yes, I guess you physically could if you needed to, but if you overspend your spoons, that's what leads to the burnout. So I thought it was a useful way to look at it. We'll put a link in the show notes as well, because I think the idea that it's spoons can be a bit confusing sometimes. But
yeah, why is it not like pencils or
or like counters or something? Yeah, but it's spoons. That's what it is. Yeah. And that was really useful. And actually, it was teaching my family that about it made it more useful to communicate when I couldn't do things as well. So if I was feeling particularly exhausted, I would just say I've spent too many spoons today. I can't do anything else now, and they understood that from there. So it's good for a method of communication as well.
Yeah, because then they can't take it personally.
No, exactly. It's just like I've got no.
Although they might be like, "Why did you not save me a spoon?"
Yeah, but that's the thing about the spoons. Like some things take more spoons than others, and sometimes you don't have a choice what you spend them on, and when they're gone, they're gone.
And I think if you've got a trauma that you're also processing, you probably have half the spoons you might normally
used on that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah. So over the summer there was quite a big family trauma for us, which I think when you're in it, the trauma, you're just on adrenaline. You're like, right, I've got this fire to put out, so I'm going to put it out. But then what happens afterwards?
Yeah.
So it's kind of been resolved. Everybody's safe, that kind of thing. That's when you sit down and go, like, oh wow, this big thing's happened, and that's when you have to process the trauma, isn't it?
Well, it's like you go into fight or flight, don't you? And then when that's over, you crash.
Yeah, which is, I think, the same as when you get your divorce papers.
Yeah.
So for me, it was 2.5, nearly 3 years of getting divorced, and then when I finally got the paper, I was like, whoa. So don't forget that's also happened this year. That happened in March, and that was the last time I had a holiday. So I think, yeah, that's where the compassionate mind comes in and goes, look what you've been through. Like, I'm not looking for any kind of I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me or anything like that. I'm just trying to say, like, we all have these things that come up.
Absolutely.
And that you have to take a minute to be like, oh, that was actually quite a big deal. And you do need to create space to walk and to have holidays.
And when you have holidays, you work anyway. You need a holiday where you aren't working.
I think the difference is a holiday where you give yourself expansive room to like read the books that you want to read or just walk and listen to music.
Exactly, yeah.
Like I feel the thing that's gone out of the window because of the traumatic summer is I stopped getting in the sea as my like therapy. I then stopped walking. And then, I don't know, I was putting all my eggs into the basket of like, right, I need to start proving myself. I need to get this book written. I need to start making more of this podcast.
Yeah.
Like we've invested so much into it, we need to start making it count when actually I'm not emotionally ready for it to take off.
Well, yeah, and like you need a break now. It's time for a break.
Yeah. And being like, it's all right. I'm going to do my workbook.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish listening to Matthew Perry's book.
Yeah, good.
Which is another thing, like I'm listening to that and going, oh, I think I was confused about what's actually really important.
Yeah. How has it made you feel like that?
Well, I mean, he's an addict, right? Spending it very different to me. Like I'm a bit more like his dad in that it went for a walk one day and went, right, I'm going to stop.
Yeah.
He's like, a fucking walk. You went for a fucking walk and then you stopped drinking. Like for him, it's been a constant battle of 2 years sober, something happens and he breaks. 2 years sober, something happens and he breaks. But he still has this void. And just because I've stopped drinking doesn't mean that I don't distract myself.
Yeah.
And my theory with addiction is, yes, there's the physical addiction, like, or like a disease that Matthew Perry has, but there's also the version which is you're doing something that's self-destructive that doesn't make you feel good, but you're doing it anyway and you seem to have no control over it.
Yeah.
So when I'm feeling that, like, I'm not good enough, the void is like opening up and I can really feel it and see it, I will eat shit food and I'll seek external validation through the internet.
Yeah.
And I just hadn't realised that I'd fallen into that. And I wasn't creating space for me to think and breathe and walk and look after my body.
Yeah. And that's what you were doing by jumping into writing the book and feeling like you're going to like do something to make it count with the podcast. Is like still not giving yourself that space, you know?
Yeah, like it was a lovely idea, but writing the book is quite traumatic.
Yeah.
So I was like, right, I'm not going to get in the sea, I'm not walking, I'm going to make myself sit down and write. Like I had some fucking stick.
Yeah.
And I was beating myself with it.
Yeah.
Going, come on, you've got all of this opportunity ahead of you, make the most of it, make it count. But what about little Hannah, who's like needs a walk and needs some fresh air and needs to be watered and needs to be nurtured with people and
she's always there, you know? And if she's shouting at the minute, that's because you need to take care of her, you know?
Yeah. So that's, I think, where we are now. Like it hasn't taken long for me to just suddenly go, oh, nah, I've had enough.
Yeah.
I need a break.
Yeah.
If I don't, something's going to happen and it's not going to be good.
No. Well, and it's also it feels like sort of a natural time of year to be having a break as well. So I read something the other day that said that you need like 2 hours more sleep at this time of year, which granted is a luxury, but it made me feel better.
So you and me, we're like, oh good, I shall nap for 2 hours every afternoon.
Yeah, or like, oh, it's no problem if I've slept until 10 a.m. even though I went to bed at 9 p.m. You know?
If you can sleep that long, I'm like,
well, yeah,
do it.
I know. Well, I do have the luxury to do that, and I'm going to stop feeling bad about it because, like, apparently we need it this time of year. Like, I'm going to hibernate a bit.
Herkle Durkle.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's okay. It's a natural time for a break. We need to listen to our bodies and the seasons. Yeah,
100%. But also look after our bodies. And I think that's what I was really neglecting is I do need to spend time making sure that I've got the right food in and make sure I put it in my mouth instead of the freezer when it's starting to go out of date.
Oh, that's what I'm doing at the minute as well. Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be like salad.
No.
Like
that's true.
Lovely, wholesome, healthy, nice things.
Soup.
And casseroles and
yeah, all great for this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I actually think, like, eat as much, well, I shouldn't say this, but it is how I feel. Eat as much cheese as you like, but just, like, have some lettuce on the side, you know, so at least you're getting your vitamins in.
Yeah.
That
I'll
makes
do
me
things,
feel better.
Yeah, I'll do things like I'll buy a big stir-fry mix, but I'll eat the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I do as well, but then also some cheese.
Well, I'll have, like, prawns or something on the side.
I don't have cheese in the stir-fry, that would be weird.
Yeah, that's gross.
I don't. For clarity, I don't.
I get a stir fry and then I put a cheese sauce all over it.
That would be disgusting.
Yeah.
I don't.
So, yeah, I think what I'm trying to say is, I mean, again, I'm like, oh, I've got the luxury to just stop, but I guess everybody does. You can have a holiday.
Yeah.
And I think, especially if you're like a single parent, as you know, you've got additional things where you are the sole person in charge of little people at times. Creating that space so that you can show up and be the best version for them is important. And it's easy to be like, oh, you know, I'm off now and I'm with my kids. Well, in my personal opinion, that's not a break.
No.
Although I'm being taught how to make it more of a break.
Yeah.
Like not trying to over parent.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you have to fix everything. Like the other day, one of my kids was losing his mind because his computer's not working, and then football was cancelled the next day.
Yeah, but that's okay. Those things happen.
Yeah, but in that moment, I'm like, I really don't want you to be upset because I don't see you enough. And I want you to have a good time and I want you to have things to look forward to. So I stepped straight into being like, what can we do tomorrow instead? Can we do this? Can we do that?
It must be like divorced parent guilt, you know? Like,
Definitely.
You must have a good time when he's with me.
Definitely. Whereas actually, what he really needed was space to process and be bored.
Yeah.
And be pissed off. And for me to validate him and say, I don't blame you, that's two rubbish bits of information.
Exactly. And he's allowed to feel like that, and you don't necessarily have the ability to do anything about it.
I mean, we did go to the cinema to watch the Marvels, which was absolutely epic.
Well, yeah, and I bet he felt better for that. So if you can do that, then I guess that's fine. But it's also okay for him to feel bored and fed up.
Yeah, and it pushed me into overwhelm.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because I'm trying to fix things and I'm trying to be like, right, how can I take him to the cinema when I've still got the other child who's much younger and can't go watch it?
Exactly. And you don't need to do that. You just need to...
Where's the fire hose?
Exactly, yeah. You don't need to fix it.
That took too many spoons.
It did. Exactly. You don't have enough spoons to go and see the Marvel film. You'll just have to feel annoyed for a minute.
But that also takes spoons to allow them space to be sad. Oh, I would probably need like a whole thing with a child psychologist. That'd be quite good.
Would be.
So we're going to take a break.
Yes, we are.
And come back next year. So we're open to lots of suggestions for what you would like more of, because people are getting in touch quite a lot, you know, now, and being like, thanks for the podcast, which is like fucking awesome and makes me be like, oh, we need to keep going.
Well, no, that's why we do it, doesn't it? Like, but
well, that and we just like a chat.
Yeah, it's also going to be great when we come back and we want your suggestions, and like, you know, it's absence makes the heart grow fonder, so we'll miss you.
Yeah,
but we'll be back.
So I think we're booked in for the podcast studio for like mid-January, something like that.
And we've got Lou next week, so there's an episode coming out next week with is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Lou next week, and talking all about vision boarding and intentions for the new year and how to sort of, specifically for me, survive Christmas and try not to be so putting out fires for the kids, but making sure my needs are met during this period. Yeah, so that's a real goodie. And then we're taking a break, and then we'll be back in the new year. Mid-new year. Yay! Well, thank you so much for everything you have done, Katie. Oh, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Love it. Bye, really love working with you. Oh, love it. Love working with you too. Bye. Stop trying to leave early. I did this last time we recorded a podcast as well. She just needs a minute to finish and I won't give her it. You know me. Yeah. If there's like an extra second or two, I'll eke it out.
Great.
Right, I'll allow you to say goodbye now.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Happy Christmas.
Yeah, I'm mad.
All right then, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next time for another episode of Happily Ever After with me, Hannah Harvey. It would be wonderful if you could leave a review and subscribe. And of course, if you have a friend who might enjoy this episode, please do pass it on. For anything else, you can get in touch with me either through Instagram @mumsdays or my website mumsdays.com.